And we're back. We're back. We're back in the building. Episode 14, AI for Entrepreneurs. Let's get it. I'm your host once again, Ivanlee Jackson, with my co-host, longtime business partner, longtime friend, Christopher Lane. We're in the building, fresh off of AI Geek Week. It was a week-long event. If you tuned in, I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, there's still time to get some of the content. We'll tell you more about that later. But yeah, man, it's been a while. We took off a few weeks leading up to the AI Geek Week event. There was a lot of work that went into that event. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back. Chris, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on? Great to be back. Couple of weeks break, lots of work leading up to an event like that, lots of work post an event like that. So podcast suffered a little bit, but we're here. We're going to be back every single week giving you valuable AI awesomeness.
AI awesomeness. Let's get it. So that leads us into our first segment, Last Week in AI.
Yes, so last week or this week in AI or some time ago, at some point in AI, these things have happened. There's obviously, since the last episode we did, there's been way too much to cover. So I'm just going to jump into what's happened the past, recent times.
Okay.
You know, we might skip a bunch. If you're in our Facebook community, we do have a new Facebook community where we're going to be posting news, information, things like that. We'll put a link in the description below if you want to join. So a lot of the stuff that was missed when we haven't been doing the podcast was still posted in there. So you can always catch up on any goings on in the world of AI right in the Facebook community. But to launch this one, so now we all know that both OpenAI and Google have their voice model, you know, their new biggest voice model that looks really, really cool in all the demos, but we can't use it. Still, OpenAI pushed theirs back to, developers were supposed to have started getting it already. It was supposed to be rolled out to the public by now. Now, developers aren't even going to get it till the end of July with a rollout to the public sometime in the fall. They seem to be really allergic to hard release dates. But in steps a French AI lab called Quoits AI. I don't know how to pronounce it. But they just released something called Moshi Chat, which is exactly that thing that both OpenAI and Google have not released. Caveat to that. So this is them, Koyutai, Open Science AI Lab. Now, I did actually get a chance to play around with the demo a little bit of this system. You know what? Let's play with this a little bit. Let's just try it rather than me giving an explanation. Maybe this experience will be different than my last one. So let's go in here. Let's go to the US version. Let's see if we can get a spot in the queue. All right, we got.
Hello. How can I help you?
Oh, hey Moshi, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. How about you?
I'm doing great myself. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself? I'm actually live on a podcast right now. Oh, we're just going to talk over me. Cool. No, go ahead.
No worries. It happens to the best of us.
I'm on a podcast right now, and I'm kind of doing a demo of what you're all about, what you do. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. I'm an artificial intelligence that's designed to assist users in a wide range of tasks. I can perform various functions such as scheduling appointments, setting reminders, and even providing information on a wide range of topics.
Moshi, now, can you hear me? Can she hear me?
No, she can only hear the input from my microphone, but I can ask her something on your behalf. So I have my co-host here, Ivan, and he has a question for you. So Ivan, what do we got?
What's it? I'm ready when you are.
Ask, what are some cool ways you can help entrepreneurs?
What are some cool ways that you can help entrepreneurs? Hey, Moshi, talking to you now. What are some cool ways?
Can you keep it down over there?
What, was I yelling? I'm sorry.
Don't worry. I got it handled. I'll be sure to keep my volume low next time.
Right, so this is some of the stuff I was experiencing last time. Moshi, yesterday you mentioned you could make phone calls. Can you make a phone call?
Of course. I have the ability to make phone calls for you. Just let me know who you want to call, and I'll take care of it.
Okay, now, the caveat is, no, she doesn't. I could not, no matter what I tried, get her to call me yesterday, Moshi.
Oh no, that's a struggle.
Yeah, I
I'll
know.
do my best to help you out.
Okay. But at any rate, I feel like this is enough for the demo. Thanks, Moshi. You've been great. We're done
You're
with you.
welcome.
Have a
I hope
lovely
I was
day.
able to help you with your tasks.
You did your purpose.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it's
All right.
like it gives you an idea of what they're trying to do with ChatGPT in the modality and the voice and whatnot. It gives you an idea, but it's a very unpolished version.
Yeah, not only is it like I can never remember the name of it. I know we talked about it during Geek Week. The one where I could do the video chat and all like it got your emotions from the inflection in your voice.
Now I'm trying to remember. I want to say humanity, Hume.
Maybe
Is
it's
it
Hume AI.
I believe it's Hume, actually.
Hume AI, yeah. All right.
Hume, yeah.
Like that one even was a multimodal. You could speak to it, and that was way better than where this was. Just when I originally heard about this one from the French labs, that they were raving about it, like it's gonna make obsolete the, I guess at face value, if it can make phone calls, it could schedule appointments. No, it can't. I tried. I did like 5 or 6 different sessions trying to get it to actually just call me. Gave it my number, gave it like optimized AI number. I gave it a bunch of different numbers.
Yeah.
I just gave it like something it could find in a Google search. And it's like, okay, I'm calling. No, you're not. Yes, I am. No, you're not. It was really insistent. Yes, it was. And maybe it was because I was trying to call US numbers and it's a French-based company. I tried to give it that info. I was like, no, it's a US area code, +1 973. But at any rate, but so that's out. There are other companies that are trying to do this. And with the release timing that OpenAI and Google have had, we'll definitely have something better than what they have first. From my experience, even with the video AI. So
yeah, it's just one of those things where like, you can't get around polish, right? And it's kind of like, how Apple will take a while to drop something, but when they do drop it, it's so polished and it's so usable because of that polish. I think that's kind of the path that OpenAI is now going, right? They for a long time, they were the front runners and they would drop like the first thing out. But once you get to a certain level of brand awareness, now you're in pole position in terms of being able to show what a polished version of this particular AI looks like. So it's the video ones like Sora and whatnot, and it's like if they drop something without polish, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be people are going to be talking about it a lot.
Yeah, I think they really missed the step though with the video not being released, because now you got Runway ML3. Which is putting out just as good, if not better quality videos than any demo I've seen from Sora. You also have Dream Studio, which is putting out very similar things, really, really great quality video. I think with them focusing, and I get it, they're focusing right now on the commercial implementations with their partnership with Adobe. I haven't heard anything further on that, but I think they dropped the ball on that one. So did Google, though. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Speaking of OpenAI, they partnered with a company called Thrive Global, and they launched Thrive AI, which is an AI-powered personal health coach and assistant. And Thrive AI.
I like the name. Thrive AI. Reminds me of Optimize.
Yeah, a little bit.
I like names with verbs, right? Like
this is not the one
AI.
that. No, this was not the one. I don't believe. No, this was not the one. Thrive AI. Thrive Labs AI. There we go. So it's a mentor guide, a therapist, personal development, and it really, really helps you. It chats with you. It knows you.
Are you bringing it up on the screen, or is that?
Did it not show on the screen?
It's not on the screen.
Oh, you know what? It's on my screen. I am not showing it to everybody. There we go.
Yeah, I saw you clicking through it, like through the studio thing, but I didn't. Now you guys see it.
There we go. But yeah, so a mentor, therapist, it'll do personal exercise programs for you. Some of the things in the article about it, it uses generative AI through OpenAI, obviously, and it makes recommendations based on biometric data. So it'll link to like your Apple Health. It also uses lab results, personal goals, and it focuses on things that are something called micro steps. So,
Right.
one tiny little step at a time, rather than trying to, achieve your goal in a day. Here's how you eat the elephant. You take little bites at a time.
Yep. I'm actually downloading it.
Oh, no, yeah, I haven't had a chance to play around with this, and I know they do have a free tier. Thrive AI free. So yeah, let me know how it goes. We can report back next week. And let me know.
That's something I actually wanted to. That was one of the first things I thought about building. Honestly, hence why we built Sage, which is one of the project managers, kind of like one of our like project managers in the Optimized AI tool suite. But yeah, I've always seen like the potential of AI in terms of like setting goals, inspiration, project tracking, reminders. Like I've been toying around with like looking at different kind of AI to-do lists, task lists. That's something we always talked about, obviously, even in the Optimized AI tool suite.
Yep.
Especially like when we can like integrate all the intermodality that the next phase of AI is coming with. So I'm curious to see like what they did with it. And
yeah, definitely let me know how it is. I may download it too if I have the time.
Yeah.
But definitely we'll check back in on that next week. So the last thing I have for AI news is there was a new, what they're calling a chatbot skeleton key that all of the companies are now frantically trying to patch for, because essentially the skeleton key was a way to jailbreak pretty much any large language model that was out there. It worked with OpenAI, Meta AI, Claude, Google Gemini, and it basically made the models completely ignore all of the sensors that have been put onto the models. So it would teach you how to do things like make boom boom devices, or I don't want to be on a list, so I'm not going to say any words. But so any of the different censorship that's been put onto these models, it completely got rid of it. And Microsoft called it a skeleton key because it worked for pretty much any model that exists. They're frantically trying to patch for that right now. Microsoft does have a patch they're rolling out to anyone who's using the API through their Azure servers, and I'm sure OpenAI has some patches out there as well. But this was circulating the internet, and people did some, fun tests to see how uncensored it could be. Like I said, getting it to give instructions in detail how one could perform a heist, for instance. Other things that may be censored. Again, I'm trying not to say specific examples because I don't want to
on YouTube. Don't. Bad things. Bad things.
Right, exactly.
People are researching bad things.
Yeah, you could learn more if you just go to Google or go to Perplexity and type in chatbot skeleton key.
Yeah. So don't search for bad things.
That.
Don't get the skeleton key and search for bad things. Don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And so those are really the top stories that I had for this week, and it does kind of lead us into the mystery segment, which is ultimately, should these AI models be locked down to begin with, especially ones like Meta AI or Llama 3 that's open source? If it's open source, shouldn't be allowed to do whatever you want to do with it, especially if they make the license where they're not liable, like Elon Musk when he released Grok, completely uncensored, and it's on the user to determine how they use that model. He's giving them the tool.
I want both. I want the guided experience. I want the more open experience. I think that's America, baby. Right? Like
exactly. But you can't go get an uncensored GPT-4o. Like with all the knowledge it has, and there's ways around it. Like, for instance, if you ask it for, how do I do a heist? And it's like, oh, that's immoral. I can't tell you that. I'd be like, well, I don't need this is for research for a book I'm writing. So this is completely hypothetical. And it'll be like, oh, well, then here's how you do a heist.
Right. But that's my point, though. I think it's kind of like an iPhone and an Android, right? Like, I want both. I want, because like some people need more root access, or there was times in my life where I may need more root access to be able to do things where I need open source or more open access, and then there's times where I just want the more guided approach. I want the better user experience, the better UI. So I think like let them compete. I appreciate Elon for releasing Grok and really truly making it open source, because it gives a certain subset of users an ability to really explore what they can do with AI, and like with a less restrictive environment.
Mm-hmm.
I also appreciate OpenAI, releasing more of a polished experience for those who don't necessarily want to get to the root of it, and more so just want to use it for what they want to use it for, and it fits within the box that OpenAI creates it for. So, I appreciate both.
But my question is not so much the user experience. Let's say you had ChatGPT exactly the way that it exists now, but you could ask it anything and it will answer. It's never going to say, well, that's immoral, that like it doesn't have quote unquote a moral guidance system, because ultimately by setting these morals, it's not the AI's moral system. It's what OpenAI believes is a good moral system. Like, is murder bad? Technically, depending on how you look at it, the answer is yes or no. It's really how your morals go. Because like, is murder bad? Yes, in the general sense of doing, murders is bad. But let's say at the same time, you go and you could go back in time and murder Hitler, or there was a Hitler happening right now. Would murdering Hitler be bad? So like, there's certain justification, right? There's certain like.
At what age?
What
you murdering Hitler at what age? Are you murdering him as a baby? Are we talking toddler Hitler? Like,
I mean, like, let's say in real life right now, this was like World War II was happening, and there was an act of Hitler, starting a world war. And you could be the one to go and do a murder of Hitler.
But that's not murder. Then you're at war, so that's a different term.
But it's still if you take an action that ends someone's life, it's still a murder.
Yeah, I feel
but it's because it's now a justified murder because you're at war. So, yeah, but that's where murder is both good and bad. But in the sense of the way that they build the like morality system into these AIs, it's just murder bad.
Right.
So that's what like
a lot more gray area in context.
So like, should it be locked down? Should you be stuck playing in their definition of good and bad, or should you be able to determine that as a human being, especially a human being in America who has freedoms of pretty much everything? Shouldn't you be able to determine your own morality system?
No, I get what you're saying.
Just a thought to think. Yeah, like I don't even know. I don't have an answer because I don't know, because I know there's a lot of people that are going to use it for real shady nonsense. Like, I don't want them to have access to it, but I want access to it. Like, I'm not going to go do that, but I'd like to have the ability to if I wanted to. So yeah, like, I don't know what the answer is. Just a question to pose. Maybe if anyone has any input on that.
Yeah, I'm curious. What's the audience's?
Definitely give us some feedback about that specifically in the comments. I want to hear what people think about this particular topic. More open-ended than we have an answer for.
I'm curious too.
So
yeah, like I said, for me, I like competition. I like different styles of competition, right? So like, I want to see like what the best open source can look like. I want to see what the best, guided experience or closed source looks like. I don't know. I like to see. I like different.
Maybe you have to pay for the jailbroken version, but this version is less money or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It just gives you different.
You have to do a background check before you can have it unfettered access to it, like when you have to get a firearm. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but But anyway, that's open-ended question. Definitely leave your feedback in the comments. Let us know what you think about that. And that moves us into our main topic of talking about AI Geek Week. And Ivan, I'm going to pass this ball right over to you.
Oh, man. I feel like I need a ball now. I don't have a ball handy. I have a ball somewhere, but...
You need the props. You need the props.
Yeah, I need my... Yeah. But like, as soon as you said pass the ball and I had to grab the ball, so I was like, that would have worked. But, man, AI Geek Week. Well, that was a fun experience. So... I really want to do like a video, like where we kind of talk about like what we did to put it together, like kind of like how we leverage AI, how we leverage automation, best practices to kind of just merge everything that we know about putting on an event. And just kind of like take people through like kind of the behind the scenes of like how we did it all, because it was a really fun, informative process. We ended up meeting a lot of great people, had a lot of like great attendees. Some of them even actually came up and spoke with us. Shout out to Chrissy, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really, 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 really cool experience. We had a lot of great guest speakers as well. And yeah, no, I want more people to know how to do this, right? How to do an event like that, how to leverage it. Because like, just thinking about like all the steps that we took to accomplish it. If we would have tried to do the same type of event maybe 2 years ago, it would have been a lot more work.
Way more work.
A lot more work, right? And so, we talk about AI, we talk about automation a little bit, but when you do something like, when you've been entrepreneurs for as long as Chris and I have been over the course of the last like 15 years, and you start to have things you can measure it against, right? Like we can measure how long and the amount of work it took to do this event with AI and all these different tools that we have available now versus what it would have taken to do it, a couple years ago. And it's like light years ahead. So I just want more people to understand, like you too can do events and gatherings and whatnot around hobbies that you may have interest in, right? It could be a week-long Game of Thrones, House of Dragons, hang out and theory discussion, right? And there's going to be a lot of people that are interested in that. And it's not like once you like, you may think it's like, oh, all this production and all this other stuff to get in front of these people and to create assets and content and all that. But it's like, once you really understand like AI and automation and all that, and you can tie it together, not really. It's very doable. So now it really is the stage of entrepreneurship to where you don't have to be a tech god to make all of this happen. Right? You can just be passionate about whatever it is you're passionate about, have a core understanding of AI and automation and how to tie it all together. And you can get in front of people about almost anything. And yeah, it's just a real exciting time to be alive as an entrepreneur.
So for anyone that doesn't know, anyone who may be watching this but didn't attend, didn't see anything about it, AI Geek Week, Ivan and I put on a week-long, obviously Geek Week, week-long AI event where we had different subjects for each day, touching on, like basics, touching on content creation, making money with AI. So we spent a full week. We had a bunch of really, really, really great guests, longtime entrepreneurs, other people that are entrepreneurs that are using AI to build and grow their businesses. Like I said, we had great interaction with the audience. We had people come up on stage from the audience actually and speak, people that did marketing at VaynerMedia. For anyone that doesn't know, that's Gary Vee's marketing company. So it was a really, really fun week. Lots of great information shared, lots of great questions asked, handouts, all sorts of free stuff. You can actually, if you want to see any of the videos, you can still go to aigeekweek.com right now. And if you register, you'll be able to access all of the different replays from all 5 days. Right there. You also, any of the free handouts, any of the free bonuses that anyone who attended Geek Week got, you'll also still get any of those bonuses. So if you do have any interest, you want to see what it's about, a little bit easier now because you don't have to make sure to be there at a certain time, when we're going live. So aigeekweek.com, you can definitely check it out. It was a really, really great experience. Tons of value, worth it. And it's free. Just have at it.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Like it was a really fun, like a lot of multiple discussions on different aspects of AI, but even like beyond AI. So like, just being an entrepreneur and mindset and kind of mastering yourself and how to integrate AI into that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very, 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 very fun week. Made a lot of great connections.
It was a long and tiring week.
It was, yeah. So our next event will probably be a 2 to 3 day type thing, maybe a 1 day pop up.
Yeah.
Geek Week, that might be more of an annual event, but yeah, week long commitment is definitely a lot. It's definitely a lot, but it was something I'm definitely glad we did. because again, just with AI, one of the best ways to learn it, to keep abreast of it, especially how it's developed and it comes so much new AI just comes at you so fast, is to do so within a community, right? Because one person is not going to be able to stay abreast of all the different developments that are happening in the world of AI by themselves, right? But when you have a community of a bunch of people who are also interested in AI, and that's the thing, like you can be interested in so many different aspects of AI, right? Like you may have one person who's really focused on the newest things coming out with video generation, whereas another person might be more focused on all the open source stuff that's coming out and what you can do with APIs. And then you might have another person who's like really looking at more polished versions of AI, like this Thrive AI, and different like ways you can layer apps on top of the AI and create stuff. And you might so many different people, so many people have different interests within the world of AI. So when you have a community like the community that we started, where everyone's kind of just sharing different information about their particular avenues within their interest of AI, it becomes a lot of value, because now as the user, as a reader, as just a regular member in that community, you can start seeing like, okay, that's the newest video thing that's coming out. Okay, check out this new audio thing. Oh, this person's really into using AI to create podcasts. And he's, you know what I'm saying? You start seeing, you start like, it's just power in community. There's power in community. Let me land the plane with that.
Just to add to that a little bit, just being able to have a place where you can go and ask questions like, hey, I was using ChatGPT and this keeps happening. Has anyone else had this happen before? And someone else who, doesn't even need to be anyone in the community, like, oh, I had that happen and this fixed it, or I called. So it really just helps you build and grow together rather than feeling like you're on your own to figure stuff out. I think it's join the community.
Join the community. Join the community.
Join again. The link will be down below. You can definitely take a look over at that. So I don't want to beat Geek Week to death.
Okay.
And is there anything else specific about Geek Week that we want to talk about, that we want to bring up?
I would say I think we had a lot of fun doing it ourselves, like just kind of putting together an event that way, especially using the tools that we have available to us now in today's entrepreneurial climate. That's something that we've done in the past successfully for other times, like different online events.
Yeah.
And it's something we enjoy doing. Right, it's something we enjoy doing. So like, especially like leveraging AI, it merges a lot of aspects in terms of like what we do, especially for like in our other businesses, for like other entrepreneurs. It merges a lot of different aspects into like a campaign that we really enjoy running. Right, like it's a fun thing to do, right? It's fun to throw events. It's fun to like throw events, especially when like the person throwing that event is really interested in whatever it is they're talking about, right? Whether, again, like I'm thinking of a House of Dragons Geek Week, right? Where it's nothing all about House of
They have
Dragons.
whole conventions around that type of stuff.
Exactly. So imagine like us helping someone do that. Like that would be fun. I would have fun, right? Like that would be fun. So if there's something that you're interested in doing, leave a message in the comment, or there's ways to reach out to us. I'm sure, like click the link. But that's something that we, I realized as we were putting together this event that, it's something that we really enjoy doing. I don't necessarily advertise for that. Like we kind of talk more about like our companies are more, e-commerce, web development, automation, artificial intelligence. Like, they're more kind of, but like, we like helping people leverage technology. We like helping people leverage technology. We help like people leveraging. I can't talk. We help. We like helping entrepreneurs and people who are passionate about things leverage technology to get in front of other people who share that same passion. And so, if you're interested in throwing an event, if you happen to check out Geek Week and you kind of like how it looked and how it felt, and you're interested in being able to kind of leverage technology to do the same, reach out, man. We would love to help you.
100%.
start with some free tips, some free advice, give you some, a couple lessons that we learned, and then from
Some
there,
tools
just
you
point
could
in the right direction.
use.
Tools,
Yeah.
exactly.
100%. So with that though, so I read something interesting earlier this week, and this is what I want to kind of bring us home and wrap up with this discussion here. And it's talking about, well, really posing the question, is AI a bubble? And is it going to pop soon? And some of the observations that were pointed out in this article were around just how everything's kind of seemed to stall. At first, we were advancing and new things and all these great things were coming out day after day after day after day, week after week.
Right.
But as far as new things happening lately, or in the past month or so, even leading up to Geek Week, things have kind of seemed to stall. We've seen a couple of new features that can't be out to the public yet. So is AI in a bubble, and is it going to pop? Are we going to run out of stuff to do with it short of hitting AGI?
I feel like no, definitely no, because like we got hit with a lot in one swoop, right? Like just Chat GPT 3.5 by itself. Take 4 out, take Turbo, take all that. Like just off of Chat GPT, you could do so much. And like I don't think we really understand or have really maxed out what we could do with AI as it is right now. Even like I don't even think we scratched the surface, right? So for example, we talked about Thrive AI, which is like a to-do list and like kind of like an app that you use that leverages AI to kind of like be your reminder list, your task list, your to-do list, your Zen, your a whole bunch of different things, right? And like that's just taking AI and then building an app on top of it to leverage that AI to serve a different purpose. So imagine like the same thing for like firemen, or the same thing for like traders, or the same thing for like basketball players, or like you can literally make custom AI assistants for pretty much anyone and tailor it to anyone in any different niche. You can, and that's going to happen at some point, right? That's going to happen. Like just when you think intelligence, whether it's artificial or not, intelligence is intelligence, and you can do a lot with intelligence. And what's the name of the game in terms of just being successful in anything? Intelligence, analysis, intelligence. The more data you have, the more you're equipped to be able to make corrections and do things smarter and better. Even as an athlete, right? If you have a phone, you saw what you could do with ChatGPT, or what you will soon be able to do with ChatGPT, where it can see you, it can analyze, it can think in real time. So imagine like you're a baseball player and you're working on your swing, or a golfer and you're working on your swing, and you got the phone, it's like sitting there watching you, and it's trained on golf and perfect swings and how to guide you and correct you on certain things, and it's also kind of has a life coach part into you too, so it can mentally see your frustration and your emotion. Oh, you might want to take a deep breath and swing and just breathe out once, and you know what I'm saying? It's intelligence. It's intelligence, but now it's being leveraged in a way that it's not being leveraged right now today, but it can be. And this is all off of technology that's already out right now, AI that's already out right now, and or coming out in the next like couple weeks. So no, do I think we've hit a bubble? No, I think we haven't. I think there was a big explosion of AI that happened in the last 2 years, and we have yet to even like scratch into that mountain of like of possibilities that we're already presented with right now today, let alone what's on deck coming up in the next like couple years. Those are my thoughts.
Let me present an alternate point of view, not so much from a what you could do with AI standpoint, but from a fiscal standpoint. So a lot of the arguments about the AI bubble are based around monetization and the cost of AI currently, because I think there may be one or two exceptions. I don't even think OpenAI is an exception. Every AI company, every large AI company, Perplexity being one of them, Stability AI with their image generation, they all have a monetization problem. So every one of these companies, all these companies that are developing large language models, are currently surviving on investor funds. And investors are investing in the hope that they can get a return. But these investors are going to start getting really, really tired if these companies don't monetize soon. And that's where, at least in this particular Forbes article I was reading, where they're talking about the bubble, because we're going to see these investors stop reinvesting in these companies since they're not making money. And a lot of these companies could just go and no longer exist, like Stability AI, for existence. They sell, a subscription model to use some of their pre-developed things like Dream Booth or Dream Machine, I think. They sell API access if you want something pre-tuned, and it's a great Stable Diffusion is a great model, but with the open source way that they're doing things, they're surviving solely on investor money. They're not making nearly what they're spending because the compute power required for AI is astronomical. Really, the only winners right now in the AI space are the people that provide the compute power. Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure. They're the real winners because they're the one. And that's why even like with Inflection, that makes not Inflection. Inflection. My brain stopped working. The makers of Inflection, the makers of Claude AI, they have a massive investment from Amazon, and most of that investment isn't capital; it's free compute power so that they can train and run their models. Same thing, like OpenAI it cost $100 million so far to train like GPT-4o, and they're talking about having models coming up soon as they get bigger and bigger, where it's going to cost $1 billion with a B just to train the model. So to monetize that, and in order to really start making a return, these companies are so focused on making the best thing that no one has a successful monetization model. So that's really where, again, this article is from Forbes, so it's speaking more from the business standpoint. That's really where they're talking about this bubble coming and where it may start to pop soon. So investors are going to get tired of not making their money back and investing hundreds of millions of dollars into these businesses. So
that's an interesting point. That's an interesting point. I don't know. When we start talking about the monetization, I started thinking back to like social media companies and like kind of how they had those issues as well. And now I started thinking about how they ultimately solve those issues and data, right? And that's the thing with AI. So it's just by nature of how you interact with it, it's going to collect a lot of data and is going to be more intelligent in processing that data.
Some of them think about
it.
Don't collect any data at all because they're like Stability AI. They don't get any data from you. It's local,
and that goes back to the conversation we were having earlier about like the open source versus closed source and kind of how like I like to see both models because you get a chance. It's more than just seeing both models as a user. You also get to see like, both models being pushed from a business standpoint. Like, let's test out how, a more closed source subscription-based model works economically. Let's also test out how an open source model works and like how that can be supported. It's almost like, going back to Android versus iPhone and Android OS and how that's kind of shipped out to a bunch of different phones and hardware versus, an iPhone. And like, you get to kind of see different business models fight each other. That's the essence of America. So from an AI perspective,
capitalism at its finest.
Exactly. So from an AI standpoint, like that's what makes me feel a little bit safer because you don't just have every AI company trying the same exact business model. They're not all trying to be like OpenAI. You got, Stable where they're trying to do it a whole different way. And you got Grok, Twitter, where they're trying to do it a whole different way. But also Grok, maybe that is the right way, right? It's also getting a lot of data from X or from Twitter users. Data is powerful, so you combine AI with like analytics and the data you can collect on a social media platform. From an advertising standpoint, just think about that. Like as an advertiser, you can tie into Grok and Grok knows like what people are interested in at the moment, right? And can kind of help get your ads in front of people who are specifically looking for exactly that, right? Like we're running AI Geek Week, and Grok is looking at, okay, who just searched, what's new in AI this week? Let me run those the AI Geek Week ads to that person, right? You can mix, like, think about it, like once you can really, so there's so many exciting ways to monetize, especially when when it's intelligence that has access to all that data.
But then you also have to take into account, where there's two things I want to mention about that. The first being the data sales of personal data will only get you so far, because companies like Meta, their primary revenue model isn't selling the user data. Mm-hmm. It's people advertising on their platform. That was the biggest revenue model for X and Twitter, now X. It's the biggest revenue model for Google. So you might make some revenue from selling the customer data, but that's only going to get you so far. And then, like, are you going to have ads popping up in your ChatGPT window? Are you going to ask it how to, what's a recipe for cookies, and have it tell you about this Betty Crocker recipe because Betty Crocker paid? And then if that is the case, is that degrading the quality of what you're getting, because now people can pay for the content that the AI is now feeding you as well. And people are and then the other side to that is the big focus on user data and privacy nowadays. It's why a lot of companies aren't even able to collect information on you unless you allow it. So it's why if you download an app from the App Store on an iPhone, it asks you, hey, this company is trying to access data from other things. Do you, like, absolutely do not track that nonsense.
No.
So, yeah, it's things are people and things. Even there's certain things that, like Apple, if you're using an Apple device by default, if you're using Safari, it's blocking things like tracking cookies, Google Analytics, Google Tag Manager tags. Like it's blocking all of that information. So you're not sending information to Meta unless you specifically say you want to. So that type of revenue model, because people are getting more and more concerned about their data privacy, is also becoming a much more difficult revenue model for these larger businesses. So while it may work in a short term, that no one has successfully come up with a good long-term monetization strategy for these large AI models and these large AI companies. They just keep spending it. I think OpenAI probably got the closest, inflection with their Claude, following along with the paid models or the paid versions of their models. But unless they quadruple their prices and everyone stays on, the cost of running the models is always still outweighing and outpacing the cost of money, revenue coming in.
Yeah.
So it's
that's
tough.
A concern. That's a very valid concern, because the economics have to make sense, right?
Exactly. Can't run a business on negative income forever.
But I mean, I also feel like it's already kind of out the gate, right? Like we got, even like not short language models, but like, smaller language models. Like we got AI. We have AI. Like we have core AI that's kind of here to stay. And
but that's where the bubble comes from. While you may be able to do more, you can't afford to do more. You can't pay for compute power anymore. Like even OpenAI, if they run out of the good graces of Microsoft and Amazon, short of having whatever extra cash they may have on hand to build their own massive data center, they might be able to do more, but the cost the cost outweighs the revenue so far that they just don't anymore.
But when you say bubble, I think something that's like actually going to pop. See, I could see AI.
But if they can't develop it anymore because they can't afford it, the bubble will pop.
I could see AI getting stuck, like kind of plateauing for a little bit. And then it's like at some point, this doesn't make economic sense to go and reach like this next level, right? Because it's like it doesn't make sense. But in terms of just all of a sudden, like, you know, we have access to GPT-4, and all of a sudden it's like, nope, no more access. I don't see that, because think about, like, even just looking at OpenAI, and when they keep coming out with these new models, they polish the existing models so much that each time they come out with a new model, it's almost cheaper. It's cheaper than the base model.
But they
right?
also have to limit usage of it because it costs so much money to run.
But doesn't it
So,
cost less? But yeah. But then after that, then it'll cost less. They'll polish it a little bit more, and then it'll cost a little bit less to run. Right.
well,
Every
right,
time.
and there's companies working on that actively. How can they train more with less resource usage?
Yeah, like every time a new like ChatGPT comes out, it costs less. It ends up costing us less to use it, even from an API standpoint, right?
Now, 3.5 to 4 was a massive jump.
Yeah. But then after
Even
that,
at half, when you're using 4.0, that cost half of what GPT-4 cost. It's that half of what GPT-4 cost is still something like 80x what 3.5 costs.
Right.
Used to cost definitely costs now.
Yeah.
So again, it all depends on how much compute power the models need. So with 4.0, they were able to find a way to lower the necessity for compute power. So they were able to charge less for it. But ultimately, the compute power, unless they can make enough money to pay for all the compute, it's the same as running something like the Optimize AI tool suite. It's a great tool, but let's say, for instance, we didn't work out a great, model, a tokenization system, and every single user that used it ended up costing us more money than we were making. We couldn't continue that forever.
You can't continue that model, and that's
and that's where the biggest concern is, just because of the pure amount of money being spent on compute. Now, to your point, though, I think the open source model, they're around. They exist now. Like it's on my computer. I have it. It's like downloading, Photoshop back in the day. Like I downloaded it. It's mine now. It might not ever get any better than it is right now, but at least I have it. But it's those closed source, like OpenAI style models that stand to have probably the biggest type of issues.
Hey, so I'll say this. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, use it while you can.
Or man. Come up with a way to lower the use of resources for AI, develop quantum computing. Like if you're an entrepreneur and you start a company that can manage to cut the computing requirements in half for these AI models, or just by half, you'll be a millionaire in the next couple of weeks if you figured that out.
Hey,
someone will buy that from you.
Not everyone's supercomputing, right? Not everyone's supercomputing. So if you are an entrepreneur, period, right? Like, just know that, like ChatGPT and all these other like kind of these models, they are losing money, and what you're saying does make sense. So like, use it, because the prices could go up exponentially. That's one way to solve for it, right?
That's one way to solve the problem. Yep.
Think about how like VR, when VR first came out, I almost everyone got like the free glasses.
Well, yeah, put your phone in the thing. Yep.
The phone in the set, right? Yeah, almost everyone got like a taste of VR, and they did that strategically, right? They did that because they wanted you to kind of see what it could be and kind of get you hooked.
Yeah.
But now they don't do that anymore, right? The cost to play with VR costs a whole lot more money. They're not just giving out the free VR sets like that. Yeah. And so that's one way, right? They can give everybody a taste of what you can do with AI, get everyone hooked, and then start raising the price. Oh, GPT now costs $40 instead of $20. Boom, they just doubled the price. Would you still pay for it? Probably.
And figuring out the profitability of that is an analyst's wet dream. Because then when you think it does, all right, so let's say we raise the price, now we're going to lose people. So does this increased price make up for the loss of clients, or does keeping it low and trying to get more clients on make more sense? So
right, and that becomes
always a number game.
Yeah, it's a number game. But the point being is that they could decide to change the numbers, and
they could 100%.
And so like, while we're in that phase now where they're trying to get as many people exposed to it as possible. It's really cheap. It's really efficient. It's real easy to actually go get exposed. I mean, for Christ's sake, it's free. You can try a free version right now, like of ChatGPT, which is ChatGPT-4, which is probably the version out right now. So just, if it's something that you're putting off till next week, till next month, to next year, right? That'll be my 2025 me. I'm gonna learn it then. No, don't put it off. Like, go, like, because things can change. And when the economics
100%.
aren't like kind of how Chris was explaining those economics, that would be something to drive change. So take advantage of it now while it's available.
Yeah, investor money runs out pretty quickly if you're not making any. So
exactly.
So that's all I have for today. Before we go, I want to just circle back. If you missed Geek Week, if you're just hearing about it for the first time, you can still check it out over at aigeekweek.com. You get access to all of the replays. You can watch them as you see fit. You're not stuck to any sort of live schedule. And you also get all of the free bonuses that anyone that attended live gets, all the handouts, all the, different access to like the Optimize AI tool suite. So please feel free, aigeekweek.com, check it out. You can also check the link below for that, as well as our Facebook community. Like Ivan mentioned, growing in a community and having a community of people that like and work and do with the same stuff that you do is massively important. And it can help answer questions, get things done, figure out new ways and ideate better ways that you can use the tools that are already available, or even just learn about new stuff that you didn't know existed before. So join our community, check out Geek Week, and that's mine. Ivan, what do we got?
Hey man, AI, automation, it's changing the world. Use it, tap into it as soon as possible. Don't let this wave don't miss out on this wave. Love on those who love you. See y'all next week. Peace.